Hello everyone and welcome to my Bachelor Nation 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Curse of Oak Island emotional Rick Lagina wraps up Season 11. Curse of Oak Island star Rick Lagina was emotional and seemed crestfallen at the end of Season 11 on the History Channel. However, Marty Lagina turned his thoughts to new ways to tackle the problems they encountered, paving the way for a probable Season 12 of the show. Curse of Oak Island ends with Rick Lagina being emotional. Curse of Oak Island fans want treasure. In fact, many of them are growing tired of theories about the sources of the possible jackpot. On social media, plenty of people complain about it. However, for others, it's a fascinating journey through history. Additionally, if it were easy to find the treasure, it would have happened years ago. History Channel fans who watched the finale saw Rick Lagina and the team go all out drilling a borehole. However, it wasn't successful. In fact, they found sand, more water, and the probability that many of the underground structures are not accessible. No wonder Rick seemed tearful because they felt sure that they were closing in on the prize. Unfortunately, it seems the crossbow bolt metal was probably English rather than Norse, but there are other Scandinavian tools in the area. Marty Lagina thinks ahead while Rick is tearful. Winter interrupted Curse of Oak Island, but research will continue during the off-season. In the finale of Season 11, Marty mentioned alternative ways to explore the pitfalls they hit. A lot of drilling will be required. The team encountered disappointing results in the Money Pit and the Garden Shaft. These included more seawater flooding in the Garden Shaft and no new progress on the borehole at E5N14.5. Notably, a new season of Curse of Oak Island hasn't been announced. However, it seems that Marty Lagina is prepared for it. According to Forbes, the ratings are still very good, so why cancel a show that works? Possibly, fans can expect a renewal announcement in the fall. As the sun dipped below the horizon of Oak Island, casting a golden glow over the rugged terrain and still waters, Rick Lagina stood at the edge of the swamp, gazing out at the place that had consumed much of his life. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it the sounds of waves crashing on the nearby shores and the distant call of seagulls. It was the end of another season, Season 11. And with it came a heavy sense of reflection for the eldest Lagina brother. This season had been an emotional roller coaster, filled with triumphs, heartbreaks, and more questions than answers. But as Rick surveyed the landscape that had become so familiar to him, he couldn't help but feel a deep connection to the island, a bond that transcended the treasure hunt. Oak Island was more than just a mystery to solve. It had become a part of him, a place where dreams collided with reality, where history breathed through every tree, rock, and ripple in the water. The past few months have been some of the most challenging the team have faced. Despite their best efforts, the legendary Money Pit continued to elude them, as though the island itself was guarding its secrets with a mysterious force. Every lead they chased seemed to bring them closer, only for the ground beneath their feet to crumble into more questions. Rick sighed deeply, his mind flickering back to the moment when they had first broken ground at the newest dig site this season. Hopes have been high. There were new theories, fresh technology, and a renewed sense of purpose. For a while, it had felt like this could be the year, the season that would finally unveil what generations had sought after. But then, like so many times before, the island played its cruel trick. Collapsed tunnels, false leads, and waterlogged chambers mocked their efforts. Rick had always been the stoic one, the rock that held the team together when frustration loomed. But this season, the weight of it all was beginning to show. He had felt it most in the quiet moments, when the cameras weren't rolling, when the island whispered its ancient, unknowable truths in the still of the night. Rick's emotional connection to the island had deepened in ways that even he hadn't expected. It wasn't just the search for treasure that kept him coming back, it was the people. The shared laughter, the camaraderie, the shared frustrations, and the heartbreaks had forged a family on Oak Island that was every bit as important as the elusive gold. Marty, his younger brother, had always been the more analytical of the two. While Rick often led with his heart, Marty approached each new discovery with a sharp, calculated mind. Throughout this season, they had butted heads more than once. Rick wanted to dig deeper, to follow his gut instincts, while Marty urged caution and practicality. They were two sides of the same coin, and together, they formed the heart of the operation. But even Marty had been visibly shaken by the setbacks this season. At one point, when yet another tunnel collapsed, flooding their most promising lead, Rick saw the weariness in his brother's eyes. They had come so far, yet the island still held its secrets just out of reach. And then there was Gary Drayton, the metal detecting expert with a knack for turning up incredible finds. This season, Gary had unearthed several intriguing artifacts, coins, old tools, and mysterious objects that hinted at past explorers. Each discovery brought a surge of excitement, a brief moment of hope that they were on the right path. But like everything else on Oak Island, the artifacts only deepened the mystery, pointing in all directions but never giving a clear answer. Rick thought back to the moment when they found what they believed to be a 17th-century brooch. Adorned with intricate carvings, the team had gathered around, eyes wide, hearts pounding. For a moment, it felt as though the treasure was just within reach. But as the days passed, further analysis only raised more questions. Who had left it there? What was its true significance? The emotional toll of these near misses had weighed heavily on Rick, but they also fueled his determination. He had always known that Oak Island would not give up its secrets easily, but there was something about this season that felt different. There was a growing sense that they were on the cusp of something monumental, something that could change everything. As the crew wrapped up the final days of filming for Season 11, Rick found himself reflecting on the history of Oak Island, not just the centuries-old mystery that had captivated treasure hunters for generations, but his own history with the island. From the moment he and Marty had read of the island in Reader's Digest as children, Oak Island had been a part of their lives. What had started as a childhood fascination had grown into a lifelong mission, one that now spanned over a decade of intense exploration. The island had given Rick so much: new friendships, adventures, and a sense of purpose, but it had also taken a toll. He had seen the toll it took on others as well. There were days when the team's exhaustion was palpable, when frustration turned into doubt. And yet, there was always that glimmer of hope, that feeling that they were part of something much bigger than themselves. Rick felt a tear escape, the emotion finally catching up to him. He had invested more than time and money into this quest. He had invested his soul. But even as the season came to a close, he knew that this was not the end. The island still called to him, whispered its secrets in the wind, and drew him back with an unbreakable bond. The sun had fully set now, casting the island in shadow. But Rick wasn't afraid of the darkness. He had learned that Oak Island held both light and shadow, hope and despair, and somewhere in between lay the truth they were all searching for. "We'll be back," Rick whispered to the island, as if making a solemn vow. He turned and walked back to join his team, ready to face whatever lay ahead in the next chapter of their journey.